Hey there, and welcome to the Cosy Corner, a podcast about all things cozy. Join us as we dive into the world of film and TV, a little true crime and spooky time, food reviews, and talk to some special guests too. So get cozy, grab some snacks, and settle in, because we're about to begin. Welcome back to another episode of Cosy Corner Podcast. Thank you so much for joining. If you haven't done so already, go and subscribe and rate this podcast. We love it when you rate us. It really helps us. So please go do that now. Pause this, go do that, or continue listening and do that at the same time. You can multitask. I believe in you. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Emilie. If you don't already know that, maybe you're a new listener. If so, hello, thank you for joining. We appreciate your presence here on the Cosy Corner podcast. We love our listeners so much, and we hope that you are also enjoying this podcast too. And if you want to see any more content like behind the scenes or anything, you can head over to our socials, which are all linked in the description, in the show notes, and you won't miss any kind of updates or anything, or any behind the scenes stuff, or any extra content that we want to put out there, we'll be putting on there. So yeah, go check that out. But how about we get into this one, bit of a different one. I thought, because I've been doing quite a few movie and TV show style reviews lately, instead, how about I dive into the world of food blogging, because it's something that is actually quite a big scene in Liverpool. And when I first started out, I didn't know where to begin. I hadn't a clue. I kind of just made it up as I went. And then I learnt more along the way and got talking to people who knew more and all that. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to gatekeep it. How about I just tell yous how to do it? Because to be fair, it's pretty easy. And I've always said, this is like a really great way to be able to just like save money and go and eat out for free, for the most part. Some places it will be like discounts instead of like a gifted meal. But I think this is honestly, especially if like you don't have an abundance of money, but you want to make good quality content, you don't want to be spending a bomb every time you go out. Being a food blogger is a great way to be able to get that content and it not like break the bank. So yeah, these are going to be my top tips. And it's not all about just getting free food. That's not why we do it, guys. Although that is a bonus. And food always does taste better when it's free. But that's not the main reason. The main reason is to get that good quality content, isn't it? And be able to share that delicious food porn. Ooh, we love some food porn. We do. Here on the Cosy Corner podcast, we love it. Me and Abby are actually both foodies. Although we met on Bumble, our biggest interest that crosses over is food blogging and being a foodie. So naturally, we kind of gravitated towards each other when we both learned that we're both foodies and we love going out. We love being able to collaborate with local places and all that. And then often we've just became each other's go-to now for whenever. If she's got a bloggers event, she'll invite me. I'll invite her to one. And then we both get that good quality content, you know, and then it's good. Like, I can't really explain it, but when you have a foodie best friend, world's your oyster. Sometimes, literally, if you go to a seafood place. And unfortunately, I can't have seafood, but Abby can. She can't have dairy, but I can. So, you know, best of both worlds, really. But yeah, unfortunately, Abby can't join us at the moment because she's still recovering from an illness. She's doing much better, but we're hoping to start filming together soon again. We can't wait. We've been planning some stuff. We've got Comic-Con coming up, so we're going to be probably filming a vlogcast again then. We did a vlogcast last time we did one. It was for Chinese New Year, where we spoke to the owner and we learned all about the food. We tried the food, we reviewed it all. Go check that out if you want. I think that was like episode 2 or 3 or something. So go back and check that out. I think, what episode are we on now? It could be 13 or 14. We're building it up. You know, it's going well, the podcast. We're building it up. But yeah, Abby will be back with us soon, hopefully. And we'll get back on top of that. But for now, you're stuck with me. You're stuck with me and my foodie tips. So, yeah, how about we get into it a bit more? One thing I will say before I fully get into my top tips is building up like a social network and being able to rely on friends who are foodies is one of the best things that you can do. Not only for you socially, but for the content. Because like I said, with Abby and me, we're always each other's go-to whenever it's like, oh, I've got a foodie event. Right, I'll ask Abby. And if Abby can't go, then I'll ask one of my other friends. They'll have a boss time, but they're not foodies. They're not going to be posting it all over their Instagram. You know, you want to give the people that you're working with the best that you can. And it's even better if you take another foodie with you. You know, you're going to stand out and you're giving them double the content then. So that, right away, is my very, very first top tip. Have a foodie social network. But you can only do that by building up and actually getting into that community, which can take some time. But how you start off is by following all of your local foodies. I mean, there's loads. I've got a friend called Get Reviewed on Instagram, and she's great. Like, the content that she does is delicious, first of all. And luckily, like, we don't live too far from each other, so she's another one where if I'm like, oh, Abby can't make it, but I want to take another blogger, I'll ask her usually. And then off we go to our little foodie content mate date. And we love it, we do. So yeah, there's loads of different foodies in the area. If you're not already following me and Abby, go and do so. I'll link those as well in the description for this episode so that you can get that. Because I'm at Emilie Shoots, Emilie Shoots. And Abby, I believe, is at Abby Eats _ I think there's an underscore in there. But yeah, we do, well, between us, because we don't live dead close to each other, me and Abby, she lives like further up in town than me. I live just outside of the city centre, just outside. And yeah, so we tend to meet in the middle. If we're going to meet up for anything, we'll meet like right in the city centre. But yeah, she'll often cover more up her end, and that can be kind of more of like Walton and like Lark Lane type of stuff. And then sometimes, because of where I live, I like have access to obviously city centre, but then places like Crosby as well. So we kind of get the best of both worlds when it comes to covering foodie content between the both of us. And I think like that's why we often, whenever we go, like whenever we advertise that we work together with like Cosy Corner, people can see that we cover a wide range of places as well, and I think that works in our favour. So being able to cover many different places is also a bonus, of course. But yeah, I've often covered places like in Crosby where that's not somewhere Abby would usually go. So yeah, building up that network and being able to have a range of different places is also important. But to really start off, for me, I reckon one of probably the most important aspects to like actually get going, shall we say, is to start reviewing the places that you've already been to. So let's say last week you went somewhere, you took some pictures and you've been thinking, I should start a food blog. Go on then. Make that Instagram account. That's probably the first step. Instagram and TikTok are like the go-to for foodies. Facebook, still post there, but it ain't going to be your main port of call. But Instagram and TikTok, yeah, that place is booming for foodie content there. But what you're going to want to do to really start off, start building up that social network, connecting with people, and then start building up your portfolio at places you've already been to. No one is really going to be looking, trying to find out, oh, was it gifted though? Was it gifted? We've all got to start somewhere. Doesn't matter if it wasn't gifted. I mean, your first lot aren't going to be, mine weren't. I just went to places and was like, that was really good, I should tell people. And then I started posting about it, and I started getting better at writing coherent reviews that actually made sense the more I did it. Because when you first start out, you're finding your voice, you're figuring out what you actually, how you will review things. Are you a detailed reviewer? Will you go into depth about how that flavour profile complemented each other and how it was melt in your mouth texture? Or are you just going to be like, yeah, it was good? I mean, everyone's different. Personally, I prefer the more in-depth approach because the audience tends to get more out of it. But there are those who just do a very simple review, and they're very popular and successful, so it depends on what you want to offer. So you got to build up your portfolio, find your voice, and figure out how you will go about reviewing. And that can start off by just reviewing places that you've been or places that you are going to, and you're like, right, I'm going to be going to this place on Saturday, I'm going to do a review. And another piece of advice is don't do the review while you're there. Go home, maybe do it the next day. You can post while you're there and all that, although we're internet stalkers and all that nowadays, especially ladies, we've got to be careful. I very rarely ever tag where I am in the moment. I'll do it usually when I get home or the day after, because I don't trust that people aren't going to be like, oh, there's Emilie. And maybe they want to stalk me because they like me, or maybe they want to stalk me because they hate me. I don't want to find out. And yeah, that has actually happened before, so I don't want to go down that route again. And that's a story for another time. So that's why I'm very cautious about that. But I think, you want her as well for a review. You don't want to do it really quickly in the moment. And you want to actually enjoy the moment too. Don't be thinking about the review. Gather the content. And then you can make notes as well. I often make notes while I'm there, especially if I'm with someone else. I will ask them for their opinion and get a quote or something, and then write that in my notes, and then I'll use that for my review the next day probably, or once I get home or something. I usually do it the next day or the day after that, just so that the review has been fermenting in my brain and I have a clear idea of what I want to say, and it's not rushed. So yeah, I think building up that review with places that you've been before or that you're currently going to, and it's unprompted, you haven't been asked to do it, you're just building up that portfolio. Where should you put that portfolio? I hear you asking. Well, socials. Socials are going to be your main portfolio. It also helps to have a blog too, definitely, because you can go into a lot more depth with that. And places like Squarespace, Wix, Google Blogs, they're all good ones. If you want something for free, then Wix, that's really good. The user interface isn't fantastic, but if you get to grips with it, it's pretty decent. Same with Google Blogs, stuff like that. But if you're a bit more serious about it and you're willing to spend some money, then you can do what I've done and get a Squarespace website, which a lot of the templates are kind of already done for you. It's really easy. I quite like Squarespace. Not sponsored, but I quite like Squarespace. I think it just works for me, that one. So I've had that for a while now, and if you want, you can go check out emilieshoots.com, EMILIE shoots.com, and have a little look for yourselves and see what the website looks like. I do a lot of different stuff. I do photography, videography, reviews and all that, so it's all on there. It's not just about food, but there is a section where I talk about who I've worked with and kind of what I do and all that. So yeah, check that out if you want some idea of what to kind of go for. It's also really good on, if you are going to do a website, whether it's free or paid for, to make a dedicated page for your portfolio to really go in depth about you, because the best thing you can do is sell you as a person. People will only want to work with you if they know who you are and why you're doing this, why are you passionate. If there's no real person behind it, then it's a bit like, well, why would I work with you? I don't know you. Often people will want to get to know the person to be able to work with them. So about you, why you doing it, why you love reviewing food, and then it also showcases your work. And that work will obviously not be gifted and is something that you've done unprompted. A really important thing to do is to create a media kit. Now, if you're not sure what a media kit is, a brief explanation is that it's a cohesive document that contains things all about you and what you're doing. So it can be about why you like reviewing food, kind of, explain what you do, why you like doing it, information of how to contact you, as well as some analytics about your socials. So this can be like how much reach you have, how much engagement, that sort of thing, and any kind of past experience of doing similar work. So not a portfolio exactly, but listing who you've either worked with if it has been gifted, or places that you've reviewed, that sort of thing, just to give people a brief explanation, and show that you're serious about what you're doing. So yes, media kit can be important. And also within that media kit, you need to express that you have a unique selling point. Now that's going to be different for everyone, obviously. For me, my unique selling point is that I'm a foodie, I'm a photographer, and I'm a videographer. I'm all free. I don't just offer crappy photos of food and a brief explanation of why I like it. You're getting in-depth reviews as well as high-quality content because I'm a professional in photography and videography. Not to brag, but I've been doing that for many years. I mean, I've always had a camera in my hand. I can't remember the last time I didn't do video or photography. Like, that is just what I do. So then by going with me, they're ensuring that not only are they getting a review, but they're also getting good quality shareable content, which is valuable. And you've got to remember, that does carry value. So you've got to think about what is your unique selling point. Maybe you're a single mum, and that might be your unique selling point. Your page might be dedicated to being a single mum, and you're finding all the best deals in Liverpool and where you can take the kids during half term and all that. Well, there we go. That's your unique selling point. So why you, basically? Why should they work with you? What do you bring to the table that no one else does? So that's something to think about. I would always recommend... so sorry, I lost the ability to speak there. I'm reading off some notes that I wrote down. And the reason why I couldn't speak then is because there was a typo and I went to read it as if it was a word and it definitely was not. So, yeah, moving on from that. I'd recommend writing detailed reviews on your blog if you have one, and then trying to keep to shorter reviews for socials. So if I went to a restaurant and I had a lot to say about it, I'd write that all out, put it on my blog, but then I would kind of create a shorter version of that, take out all the best bits and condense it into a much shorter version, maybe as much as a paragraph at the most, and then a short paragraph, and then that would be on social, because on social media most people do not have the attention span to read through a book, essentially. We're dealing with people who are scrolling aimlessly. You're lucky if they're going to look at your content. If they do, they're going to want to briefly read it, maybe give it a like, possibly a comment, and then move on. So you got to cater to that short attention span. You're not going to be doing a 3-part book sequel. Nah, people aren't going to be reading that. If they want that, you can also say link in bio for the longer review version or something like that. I don't know, link in bio if you want to read more, something like that, and then from there, people can click on your link, and then there we go. They can read the longer version if they want to. Often, when it comes to blog reviews, my main traffic is from Google. So it will be like people have said, like a Liverpool restaurant food reviews, like something like that. Do you know what I mean? Or they might be like, just as an example, like Mama San food reviews. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. And then throughout those Google results, even if it's quite far down, you get seen. That's mainly because of SEO and finding those keywords that people might search. So if you're writing a blog post review, try and make that title and then any other subtitles something that people might search on Google, so that they're searchable words. So it might be like Casa Italia food review. Something like that, where it's just a quick Google search, but you've got that as your title. So most likely that's going to be bumped up on Google. That might not have been the best example, but something along those lines. So posting to all platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, etc. as like cross-platform posting is key to building up that audience, and you'll figure out by doing that exactly where your main audience is. For me, it's Instagram, then TikTok, then Facebook, and then I don't really do much with Twitter because I cannot stand Twitter. So it's very rare that I'm on there. LinkedIn as well. Don't underestimate the power of LinkedIn. That can be really good to post foodie stuff too as well. And make sure, tag the restaurant. In everything that you're posting about them, tag the restaurant. And also tag the location, because people will often search, especially on Instagram and TikTok, by the location. They might search somewhere like Casa Italia, Liverpool, and then your stuff's going to come up because you were just recently there. So that's also good to note. Now, in terms of equipment, I would say it's always good to invest in good equipment, but that doesn't have to break the bank. So don't need to get your credit card out. It's fine. Just good lighting is absolutely key, and that can often be achieved by natural lighting, to be fair. But if you're in a more dark place or you're out at night time, then a decent portable battery light from Amazon will often do the trick, as long as your phone camera is of good quality. So keep that in mind. If you've got a crappy phone camera, either consider, is it of value to you to upgrade? And if not, okay, whatever, it can still probably work fine, but you're not going to get the most crisp of content, the most high quality of content. And one thing that you want to really value, and that your audience will value, is high quality, clear, crisp, and like sharp, colourful content that stands out. Especially when it comes to food. If the colour is off with the food, people aren't going to be interested, because like, let's say you've just bought a lovely bagel and you take a picture of it, and it's a ham and cheese bagel, and to you, a ham and cheese with egg bagel, I'm getting hungry now, to you, that egg looks so yellowy orange, and the ham is so pink and it looks beautiful, but on your phone it looks dull, and the ham kind of looks grey, and the egg's like a really washed out yellow colour. That doesn't translate well. People aren't going to be giving you a load of likes, are they? They're going to be like, ew, that bagel looks gross. Like, you got to think about colour. You got to think about that quality and whether or not it's going to work for you. So potentially there might need to be a change made there. Or even if you want to take it more seriously and you have the money to, then potentially look into DSLR cameras. That can be something to consider. I've got a DSLR camera. I don't take it on every collab with me. It depends on the place. If I know it's going to be an absolutely epic foodie adventure and the food porn is going to be off the scale, I'm taking my DSLR. But if this is just like your normal, regular, bog standard pizza place, I'm probably going to stick with me phone camera. Although what I will recommend for most phone cameras, particularly if you've got like a Google or Samsung phone, you can use portrait mode to create a macro lens look. So it allows you to get closer and have things more in focus, as well as creating a more cinematic style. And I really like that for food. Sometimes some smartphones will have a food mode as well. So it's always good to experiment a little bit and have a little look. But I'd recommend, don't take everything in portrait mode. Do a range, like have it in portrait mode, have it in normal mode. Have a little look, see what you like the most, really. So, yeah, I do love portrait mode though. Another tip, if you're struggling to get close enough to your shot, like if you're thinking, the way I'm holding my phone, I'm just not getting close enough to these noodles. It's a situation I've been in more than once. Well, I would recommend turn your phone upside down so that the lens is closest to your food, if that makes sense. So you're holding your phone normally, rotate it upside down, so you're holding your phone upside down, and now you will be close to the food. You can get a different kind of angle, and this can be really good sometimes for like the more cinematic foodie shots if it's in portrait mode. And you can also get, if you're doing video, you can also get like a nice little pan with that as well. So yeah, I recommend doing that. Experiment a little bit, let you get closer to the food and better shots. Or sorry, my notes just kind of whizzed past me. Oh yes, I said about DSLRs a minute ago. And considering different lenses and whether you want like to get a macro lens or something can be something to look into. But usually, to be fair, most food bloggers will stick with phones and will try to get as high quality as they can with phones. So it's entirely up to you. It's whatever you want to capture the food porn with. You know, whether you want to go all out and have DSLR or a phone camera. Either way, to be fair, the quality can be near enough the same for both. So you don't have to get the best and most expensive equipment, because that's not always going to be the thing that sets you apart. Often it's how you capture the content, what you do with it, and you yourself, you know, what's your unique selling point. Like that is often what makes you stand out. Video can be just as important as photos, especially nowadays with Instagram and TikTok and all that. So don't be underestimating the power of video. Like, honestly, that's one of the best things that you can do. It really is. It shows off the content a lot more than what photos can. And then if you're doing a review style review, you might be talking to the camera and give your opinion that way as well. That can be an interesting way to go about things too. But you should be thinking video first whenever it comes to doing this kind of content. Always get your video first, then your photos. So video first mindset. It's always good to take images and videos from multiple different angles, because this might mean getting up and moving around, and it can, you know, when you're first doing it, you're a bit embarrassed. You're like, oh, people are looking at me. No one cares. I can promise you now. No one cares. Only you. No one else is bothered. Everyone else is too busy eating their delicious food. And that's that. So, like, honestly, don't even be bothered about that. Get up, film the food, and sit back down. Because to be fair, there's probably more than one person in the restaurant doing the same. There's that many influencers nowadays and food bloggers. You won't be the only one, most likely. And if you are, so what? The restaurant will be happy that you're doing it, most likely. And then you're getting content. You know, you're doing what you have to. So don't even be worried about that. At first, it can be a bit daunting, but if you're sitting there and you think, oh, I'm too embarrassed to get up, but I really want this certain shot, do it. Just get up. You're going to regret not getting that certain shot if it requires you getting up. Honestly, I've done it before, and then I've been like, oh, I wish I did get up and get that shot, and now the opportunity's gone. You don't want to regret that. You want to always be giving your best. So, do the thing. It's always good to take different angles, as if like lower angles, high angles. Get as many different choices so that when you're looking back later, you have the option to decide, I like this, I don't like that, delete that, keep that. You want more options than what you know what to do with. It's always best to get more than less. Because sometimes you can't go back and get it. Especially if it's something where, like, if they're using fire or something, if it's like kind of like a Sapporo teppanyaki thing, or if your cocktail drink is on fire, once that fire's gone, it's gone. So get those different angles and don't be scared. Just do it. A good thing to keep in mind is what is in the background of your shots. Are there people? Are there bins? Is there a mess? Did you just wipe your face with a napkin and put it down and now it's in the back of your shot? You've got to be aware of these things, because you might look back later and go, oh, that guy in the back, he's picking his nose. Oh God, I don't want that in my photo. Just took a lovely photo of a kebab and now there's a man in the background picking his nose. Now, if you're like me and you've got a Google phone, you can use Google Background Remove, and it's pretty simple to use. It doesn't work with every single kind of photo, but it does work with most. So there's that to think of, but it's always best to just do it in camera in the moment. If you can see, right, there's someone in the background and they're picking their nose and I don't want that in my shot. That's not the artistic depiction that I'm going for here. Well, then you might change angles. You might move around a little bit and get a different shot. And then there we go. Sorted. So yeah, be aware what's in your background. Even if it might just be something like there's an exit sign, like a fire exit sign, and it's bright green and it's in the background and it's distracting. It might distract away from the food. Do you really want that in the background? Maybe you do. I don't know what your artistic ideations are, but for me, I would think, no, I don't want that. I'd rather have either a plain background, or maybe from a different angle there might be fairy lights in the background. And then you could have lovely fairy lights in the background that add like a little pop, to the background. And then you got your food as well in the shot. That might be nicer. So it's stuff like that to always be thinking of. And you can adjust settings on your phone if needed, like exposure, contrast, that kind of thing. Usually it's by tapping the screen or through a menu on the screen. On my Google Pixel 6, I can often tap on a bright area and it will expose for that brightness. Or I can tap on the dark area and then it will change the lighting to match that, if that makes sense. So that's always good to think of. Many people don't know that you can do that with your phone. Or you can even slide up and down on your phone to be able to go brighter and darker. Depends on the phone. But have a little experiment and see what your phone is like. And in terms of editing images, you can use your built-in phone editing for simple things like contrast, brightness, saturation, adding like a warm tone to it, changing those colours, giving it a bit of pop. Every foodie will edit their photos a little bit, because sometimes your phone just won't capture things exactly how your eyes see them. It might translate a little bit differently. So often foodies, I wouldn't say, we massively change things. I certainly don't. I'm not going to be making it so that it's a completely different item to what I got. But I will try and make it more appealing to the eyes. Maybe a bit more colourful. Or maybe change the tone of, like, if there's like a beige tone and it's too orangey, maybe bring that down a little bit, change it. It depends. So being able to edit like that is a bonus. But you can do very simple things just in your normal, like, built-in phone editing software. You don't need to buy anything fancy. But if you are more serious, then I'd recommend Adobe Lightroom. Now that can be done on your laptop or even on your phone. So there's lots of different options. It does cost though. I think the photography bundle is about £10 a month. I think that's what I've got with Adobe at the moment. I've got both the Photoshop and Lightroom, although I don't really use Photoshop, but it comes with the Lightroom one. Now and again I'll use Photoshop, mainly for like thumbnails and stuff, but yeah, Lightroom's my go-to. I do love Lightroom. There's a lot that you can do with it, and it's very easy to use as well, so don't be intimidated if it's something that you want to try. It's really easy to use. Once you've spent some time building up your portfolio of work, then you can draft up a scripted email as a template. And what I like to do is I will have like a blogger script email. Sorry, don't know if you can hear that, but I'm in my summer house, the Cosy Corner, and on the roof right now must be like a gang of birds, and they are just having a stampede. And I think there's also hail. There's a gang of birds and there's hail, and I don't know whether I should like vacate this property because it's mad. Oh my god, I don't know if the mic's picking. Right, there's hails the size of like tennis balls. Oh my god, and there's like loads of birds freaking out. I think they've gone now, they're the birds. But anyway, it really interrupted me then. I wasn't sure what was happening. But anyway, I'm glad that we've got through that. So getting back to the scripted email, I like to have a template in my notes of a scripted email saying, I'll find the one that I use now, and I'll give you a brief overview of what it says, because like I said, I'm not going to gatekeep this stuff. Right, if you can hear that in the background, that's the hail the size of golf balls just pummeling the summer house, and I'm kind of scared it's going to break the summer house, but well, we'll see. Where is my blogger script? Let's see. Here we go. So I have a general script that I've wrote out, but then for each and every collaboration, I will personalise it, and that might mean changing it as well, not just putting in people's names, but I might also change it up a bit, depends on the place. But then at least I've got that template and it saves me time. So usually I'll say something along the lines of, hello, my name's Emilie and I'm a Liverpool-based content creator. I'm very interested in working with blah blah blah. I'm an incredibly passionate creator with a love for finding local hidden gems and foodie spots. Something like that, because like it adds, little detail to it, and it just sounds nice. I often focus on local food and drink reviews, and I'm currently looking to branch out more into blah blah blah. This is from like a more recent one where I was getting in touch with hotels. So that one was specifically because I was saying there that I wanted to branch out into something else. You're explaining what you do, but then that you also wish to expand. But I've just scrolled now to me regular one, which tends to start off with, hello, my name's Emilie and I'm a Liverpool-based content creator, very interested in working with blah blah blah. I'd love to collaborate with you and provide you with, and then I list what I provide, which is 10 to 20 professional photos, 3 main feed Instagram posts, 6 to 10 Instagram stories, 3 Facebook and Twitter posts, although I don't really use Twitter that much now, and a blog post review, as well as a reel for TikTok and Instagram. And then underneath that, I say, in return for, and then whatever I'm asking them for. So that might be a 2-course meal for 2 people. You got to make sure that what you're asking for matches the value of what you're providing, so it's an equal trade. It's an exchange of services that you're doing. It can't just be, I'll post on Instagram if you give me a 3-course meal. Nah, most people aren't going to go for that. Unless you've got like 1 million followers, most people are not going to go for that. But then underneath that, I mentioned who I've previously worked with. So I've previously worked with Aviation Gin, Malibu Rum, Lush, The Body Shop, Thornton's. And then I go into a list of restaurants as well, and I've worked with quite a few different restaurants. And then I've put a link to my previous work that they can check out, so that way I don't have to list every single thing that I've done. And what else have I usually said? Here is my media kit, showcasing my Instagram analytics, audience, and a bit more about me. If you'd like, I'd be more than happy to email or call and chat about a possible collaboration. Feel free to see more of my work on Instagram at Emilie Shoots. Look forward to hearing from you soon. And then you sign off with your name then. So something along those lines is really good to include in an email, as well as your media kit. And within that media kit, it's good to also touch on who your audience is, who interacts with your posts the most. And you can see that in the Instagram analytics. It can tell you whether they're mostly male or female, the age range, where they're based, whether it's Liverpool, London, wherever. And that's all good to include. So I hope that helps in terms of figuring out how to contact people. But in terms of trying to get in touch with people, I would say getting in touch with the restaurant themselves can be a good way to do it. But usually local PR companies are the way to go, because often places will be looked after by PR companies. Like in Liverpool, there's loads. There's We Are Indigo, there's Pink Media, or I think they're called We Are Pink as well now. Think Media, I think there is. There's loads. Carolyn Hughes, absolutely loads. I can't even think how many there is, but there's loads. So, yeah, just by dropping the PR company a message and asking them to be added to a bloggers list or something is a great way to actually start getting invites as well to places. And don't be disheartened if you receive rejection. It happens and we move on. It's happened to me where places are like, oh no thank you, we're not accepting that right now, or no thank you, we're not interested. Okay, fine, that's fine, yeah, move on. You can still go to that place and review it if you want. You just won't be doing it gifted. And that's fine. There will have been loads more people who have got in touch and got the same response. It ain't just you. But sometimes they might be saying no because of your followers. It might be that you don't have enough followers for them to justify it. And that's understandable, but that's where your work comes in as well. You have to let your portfolio speak for itself and have a good, high quality portfolio, because often it's quality over quantity. They can look at your content and go, that's high quality. Oh, they've only got 2,000 followers. But we'll still do it because we're getting good quality content. So you never know. It's not always going to be the way with followers. So don't count yourself out if you don't have 10 million followers, because not everyone does. And there's plenty of bloggers that are still very successful that might just have, similar to me, between 5 to 8,000 followers, something like that. You can still make really decent collaborations with people. Just make sure that what you're offering, though, is equal in worth. Because last thing you want to be doing is taking advantage of a restaurant or having them feel like you're scamming them. You don't want that. So you want something like when I collaborate with restaurants, I offer social coverage on all platforms, at least free IG stories and all that. Kind of went through it a bit before. About free posts as well. You got to think about what you're offering, and as well about video and how that comes into it. There's quite a lot of content posted, and you want to be able to give them quite a lot. You don't want to just be skimming the top. You want to actually give them more than what they want. More is better in this instance. You want to go the extra mile. You want them to feel like you've done everything for them. You've gave them everything they could want, the best possible coverage. And then, who knows, they might use you again in the future then as well. Or they might recommend you. Word of mouth is very powerful. I also often will make the content available for them to use if they're interested in that. Some aren't, but I like to give them, the option of, would you like the content to download as well? Here's a link to the video you can download. Here's a link to the photos you can download. You can share the review from my blog and all that, let them also have some control over the content to use for themselves. And now, lastly, what to do when you're dealing with a bad review. Like, if you go to a place and you're reviewing it, you're there on a gifted basis, and it is crap. The food's awful. The service is, atrocious. What you do? How'd you handle that? Well, this has happened to me before, and I won't say where it was, but this has happened to me before. And what I did was, got through the evening somehow. It was bad. Got home and I messaged the PR company that had set it up for me, and I told them about the experience, and I said to them, I would prefer to not do a review. If you'd still like me to do a review, I do have to be honest, and I would have to say what happened. Now, we can either leave it, not post anything, leave it, or we can arrange to go back in and give a better experience, and I can review that. Or I could post a bad review. It's one of those options. And of course, they said to him, oh, leave it, it's fine. So sorry about your experience. And they did offer, they were like, if you want, come back in whenever suits you, and we can do it all again. And there'd be no obligation to post a review, which was nice, but I didn't end up going back in because it was quite a bad experience. So I just kind of left it as no, I'm happy to just leave it because it was quite bad. The food was just horrendous. And I don't think that they're open anymore. So, yeah, that was that only happened once. There was another time, I won't say what place, but I reviewed an Italian place. It's not one of the most known Italians in Liverpool. So it's not like Casa Italia or somewhere like that. It's a lesser known one. And I went in and reviewed, I was invited in by their PR company. It was actually a blogger that invited me in on behalf of a PR company. Which already I was that's a bit weird. But when I got there, I was told that I could bring up to 4 people with me for this sharer, a roast dinner sharer. And I was excited about it, and the sharer was only for 2 people though. I was oh, but you said that I could bring 4? So this is a bit awkward. And then I reviewed it as if it was just 2 people eating it. Because that's what it is, even though you told me I could bring 4 people. And to me, I then expected, oh, so you're going to make it for 4 people then? But anyway, there must have been a miscommunication there. So they let us, continue. They were are you still happy to continue? And I was yeah, I'll review it as if it's 2 people. So we had to share, a roast dinner that was for 2 people, between 4 people. But I was acting as if it was just 2 people having it. And the first thing that I noticed, I was on this roast dinner that we're keeping in mind is supposed to be for 2 people, there was only 4 potatoes. I'm not being funny, but I like a lot more potatoes than that on my roast dinner. And this was supposed to be between 2 people. So I was I need to mention that. And everything else was lovely. The meat was delicious. Everything was really, really nice. The only negative was that for 2 people, in my opinion, I want a lot more potatoes than that. If we were sharing that, you get 2 potatoes each. That's not enough potatoes. Sorry, but it's not. Now I want at least 4 potatoes just for me. Maybe 5. If you go to a restaurant, you're not expecting to get just 2 potatoes each. So I was thinking, is there a potato shortage? Is there a potato famine in the kitchen? What's going on? So I did ask them, like, is this the correct amount of potatoes? And I felt bad, but I was like, I need to clarify. Is this supposed to be? And they were like, yeah, it's 4. And I was like, okay, no problem then, thanks. And I wrote a review because to me, I wasn't writing this in a negative light. I wrote about how delicious the potatoes were, that they were absolutely scrumptious. The seasoning, the Italian seasoning on the potatoes was so Moorish. The only thing is, I would have liked more potatoes because I feel like 4 between 2 isn't enough. So my only critique on that review was more potatoes, and everything was perfect, and the restaurant was gorgeous. And then the next day I get contacted by the blogger who invited me on behalf of the PR company, and she was like, how dare you rip them apart? I didn't rip them apart, I just said I want more potatoes. I feel like anyone would say more potatoes. I mean, I don't think I'm wrong on that front. I feel like 4 potatoes between 2 people, so 2 potatoes each, that the math is not mathing. No, like, the potato math is just, it's not even in the room with us. Come on. So I was shocked that, like, they got in touch and were, like, having a go at me. They're like, they're trying to set up this business and you're tearing them apart. First of all, they've been there for years. Second of all, what am I supposed to do? Not be honest? And it wasn't negative. I didn't say it was crap. I just said it was so delicious. What would have made it absolutely perfect was more potatoes. I would have liked to see more because it was that nice. I don't see that as a negative. I see that as a critique of what can be improved and also commenting on how good it was. But anyway, that's my rant over with there. So yeah, be careful to approach bad reviews. Always try and make a resolution with the restaurant or the PR company, because that could have been a one-off, to be fair. You know, and then you don't want to be like a negative Nancy all the time if it was like a really bad experience. But if it was just something like, oh, I didn't particularly like the cauliflower cheese, that's fine. That's not the restaurant's fault. Do you know what I mean? So something like that you can say, or you can just say, I didn't quite like the main that I got. It wasn't for me, but I'll have to go back next time and try something else. That's fine too. So it's just keeping things like that in mind. Well, that was it for my top tips of becoming a food reviewer. Hopefully that helps and it gives you a bit more insight into what goes into it. But we are not finished yet, because I have got a list for you. I've got a list of all my favourite restaurants in Liverpool. So let's get through that, shall we? So here is a list of my favourite places to eat in Liverpool. I've arranged them into categories like breakfast and then lunch and dinner. So let's get to it. And they're not in any particular order. I haven't ranked them. I'm just listing them by what I've thought of. Like, they're not in an order. So I'm not saying one is better than the other, because they're not. There's so many. And they're all great. So I'm not doing like, this is my favourite. Because I couldn't pick a favourite. Couldn't pick one. So for breakfast or brunch options, if you're nearby where I live, which is just outside of the city centre, and you have access to go to Crosby, then definitely check out Angie's. I was actually there the other day, and it was really, really nice. I loved it. They do some amazing options. They do great sweet and savoury options. Like their savoury options are so tasty. They do a great salt and pepper hash brown puff thing. I don't even know, but it's amazing. It's so nice. Comes with poached eggs. Phenomenal. I got that the other day. And then I went with my mum, and we also got some French toast as well to split between us. And they're massive portions, so I would recommend splitting most of them. They're massive. Like, it's gigantic. So we got the French toast called The Works, which had Kinder Bueno, Nutella, Biscoff, strawberries, and you get a little bit of soft scoop ice cream with it. Absolutely amazing. So tasty. And they do like breakfast sandwiches and bagels now as well. Just absolutely loads. Eggs Benedict, just everything. And they also do like your basic breakfast, like an English breakfast, your normal stuff. But I like their more unique options that they do. And they do some really nice waffles. Leslie Knope would approve, telling you that much. So yeah, check out Angie's in Crosby. Also, the Cosy Club. Of course, we're going to love that, aren't we, at the Cosy Corner podcast? Like, we are going to love the Cosy Club. In fact, it feels like it should already be affiliated with me. I feel like we need to get a collab going with them and, like, film some episodes there or something because, I mean, it's so fitting. But it is nice in there. The vibes are just so cozy and the food has always been good when I've gone. I think I've had like Eggs Benedict there before. They do some really nice toast. I know that sounds so simple, but they do some really nice toast. It's like sourdough stuff and yeah, it's nice. Castle Street Townhouse, they do some really lovely stuff. Like a bit more upper scale, I would say. Like it feels a bit fancier. But yeah, nice brunch kind of location. Something where you want to be hanging out with the girls and like enjoying some brunch. Maybe have a cocktail. Who knows? Who knows where the afternoon will take you? And then if you're on the Albert Dock, Peaberry used to be amazing. The last 2 times I went, it wasn't as good. It's still good, but it used to be my go-to place. They used to do this, like, they still do it, but it's just not as good now. It's just not as good. But they used to do this thing, I've forgotten what it was called. Oh my god, what was it called? It's like a breakfast bake. And it was like beans, Cumberland sausage, bacon, egg, cheese. And it was all in like a little skillet, like it was baked. It was lovely. But the last time I had it, it didn't hit the spot, like it just wasn't the same. So something's happened with them. They've gone downhill a bit, but they're still decent. They're still a good spot. It's just not as good as what it used to be. And they do a really nice mango smoothie. So yeah, Moose Coffee, it's always a safe bet. You can't really go wrong with that. Don't know what else to say about it. It's good, it's decent. Leaf on Bold Street, that's a nice little like cafe vibe, like, could be brunch, could be breakfast. You could just pop in for a cup of tea or a hot chocolate or a coffee. That's nice. Really like chill vibes in there. Bold Street Coffee, that's a nice one as well. Bit expensive, same with Leaf though, to be fair. But yeah, bit expensive, but nice, decent stuff. Now for lunch and dinner, this last category. I know lunch and dinner, some people call it like dinner and tea. I say lunch and dinner. I don't care what anyone else says, that's what I'm saying. When I say lunch, I mean the afternoon. When I say dinner, that's your evening meal. And that's how we're dealing with that, okay? Again, in no particular order, this is just what came to me. I absolutely love Casa Italia. It's one of my favourites. It's been serving for over 40 years now in Liverpool. Family owned as well, and it's an authentic Italian restaurant. Their lasagna, you cannot beat it. They're known for it, and there's a reason why. It's absolutely delicious. And it comes out and it's bubbling. You can hear it. You can see the bubbles. It's amazing. They do some nice pizza as well. But their pasta dishes are just out of this world. There's another one where I can't remember the name, but it's like a chicken in a white sauce pasta. And that's just delicious. That one's usually my go-to. But I'll always, if I go with my mum, I'll sneak a bit of her lasagna as well. Because you got to have a bite at least. Another favourite of mine is La Perilla. Now there's one on South Road in Crosby, and then there's one in Bold Street as well in Liverpool. And that, I think, is one of the best Mexican places in Liverpool. I mean, the vibes are just the best. You have a great time in there. It's like a party every time you go in, especially if it's someone's birthday. Everyone gets involved. The sombreros come out. It's great. You know, have an absolute blast at La Perilla. But not only that, the food is exceptional. The fajitas there, they once made my friend cry. My friend Louisa, who's been on the pod, shout out to Louisa. We were in La Perilla. Granted, she was heavily pregnant at the time, but still. So she might have been hormonal. But we were eating these fajitas and she started crying and I asked her, "Are you okay? Is everything fine?" And a waiter also came over, very concerned, and she was crying, like, over the fajitas. Like, the tears mixing in with the guacamole. And she was like, "They're just so delicious. They're so good." It still makes me laugh. Because she was literally just crying about how good they were. And the poor waiter didn't know what to do. He was like, "Oh, okay. Do you need anything?" And she's like, "No, I have everything I need." So yeah, we were having a great time. The crying stopped after a bit. After she got a few more bites, like, she settled down. And yeah, it's our go-to spot now when we want to meet up and have a chat and something to eat. We go to La Perilla, usually on South Road. And yeah, their fajitas are to cry for. Yeah. They are really, really good. I also love their chili. It's called authentic chili, and it comes in a edible tortilla bowl. Tell me somewhere else that does that, because I mean, I've never seen it, but it's delicious and it's the best. So yeah, check those out. They do loads of different options and it's all very tasty. They do a really nice cookie dough cheesecake as well. Where else? Let's see. Now, I have worked with this place. I mean, I've worked with most of these, to be fair. I have worked with Casa and with La Perilla. I've worked with this place, but I don't know how to pronounce it. And I feel bad that I don't know how to pronounce it, even though I've worked with them. Christakis, or it could be Christagi. And that's on Egbiff Road. It's a Greek place, and they do some really authentic and just absolutely phenomenal Greek food. Their feta spring rolls are something that you absolutely have to try, even if it's just for that. And then they do, like, just so many different options, moussaka, stuff like that, like, really tasty, good stuff. And they did used to have a restaurant on Duke Street. I think that's changed now, and they used to, like, party nights and all that, but I think it's the same place. I think they've opened as Opa, like Uppa, whatever you say in Greek. Uppa, yeah, that's it. I think that's the same place, but they've rebranded, I think. Could be wrong, but I think that. And then they do, like, a lot of party nights, which is always fun. Moving on now to the more, like, Asian cuisine. A chain that me and Abby absolutely love is Pho. Now, there's one on Bold Street, but that one's really tiny. It's nice, but if you like a more intimate atmosphere, that's where you should go. However, if you prefer a more spacious atmosphere, then you should go to the one on Castle Street, which I prefer. I like it. I think it's a bit more open, roomy, doesn't feel as cramped. But either location is great. They offer the exact same, like it's a chain. But yeah, they offer very authentic Vietnamese street food. And of course, their namesake, Pho, which is pronounced Pho, not Pho. Pho. I have to keep remembering that, because sometimes I do pronounce it as Pho, but it's Pho. Pho. Yeah, get it into my head, Pho. That place, they just do amazing Pho soups, where it's usually like some kind of meat, or it could be veggie options. Then noodles, lots of aromatic spices and herbs and vegetables and bean sprouts. And the broth, I was told by the manager of Castle Street when I worked with them that the broth is simmered for 18 hours. And it tastes like it. It's delicious. The flavours are unreal. Absolutely love it. Especially, you know, like autumn and winter. Oh, if anything is to ever warm the cockles of your heart, that does. Now, we've got Mama San as well. I've been there, I think, twice now, and I absolutely loved it both times. Really delicious food. there was a particular dish. It was a pork dish. Can't remember the name of it, but it had pork and dragon fruit. I've never tasted anything like it. It was so delicious. And I got the miso chicken, and that was lovely as well. So yeah, that's another really good one. Now, there was a place called Smuggler's Cove on the Albert Dock. That's now gone, and it's been replaced with the Botanist. Still the exact same menu, but they have changed the decor, and I'm quite upset about it. I am. I'm disappointed, because Smuggler's Cove, that was, like, such an important part of Liverpool. Like, I know that sounds funny, but, like, that was the go-to for many people, and it kind of dipped its toe into a bit of Liverpool history as well, because that area did used to be a smuggler's area. Like, people nicknamed it Smuggler's Cove because people came from the docks, and then that was like their little place. Like, it was like a little tavern where they'd go and like smuggle stuff and barter and exchange stuff. So then to have a restaurant called the Smuggler's Cove, and it was smuggler themed, like there was all like, I don't know, it wasn't pirate themed. People get that mixed up. It definitely wasn't pirate themed, but there was like a theme of like the ocean, kind of pirate-esque, but more smuggler. There was like this big light in the middle of the room that had like helmets and like metal messaging bottles and all that. Like, it just stuck with the theme so well. And they had an extensive rum menu. It was amazing. And then it got taken over by the Botanist, which is owned by the same company, and they do the exact same menu, but they took all that decor away and they've replaced it with like floral themes and like ferns and shrubbery. It's like, why do that and take away that name? But anyway, it's the same menu still, so guess I can't complain about that. I still recommend it because the menu is great. They do hanging kebabs and they're great, especially the lamb kofta. Rose's Thai as well on the dock. That's a really nice one. Nice, authentic Thai food. Really delicious. You can't really go wrong with anything on the menu. And the views are lovely of the dock. Then we've got Sapporo, which is on Duke Street. And that's just like a dinner and a show. It's one of the best experiences ever. I went with my mum and dad and my friend Louisa for my birthday. And I don't think I've ever had so much fun having food thrown at me. I mean, they don't like throw it at you, but you do have to catch a potato with your mouth, like a slice of this cooked potato, and I caught it. I was so proud of myself. It was just the best. And then you get to watch it being cooked in front of you. There's like a show with the fire. Honestly, best experience ever. And the chefs, they have a lot of banter with you. And you know us Scousers in Liverpool, we love the banter. So, of course, everyone was having the best time. And they do this prank with tomato sauce where they look like they're going to squeeze it at you. But instead, what comes out is just a red string. But obviously, you still think it's tomato sauce. So you're like, oh, and like, you jump. But it's just red string. And everyone laughs. And he did that to me. It was good. I really enjoyed that. That's one of my favourites that I need to go back. Really enjoyed it. And plus the food itself is phenomenal. Absolutely just such like god tier food. Like, you can't beat it. Mowgli there's one on Bold Street and there's one on Water Street. The Water Street location is way better because it's not as cramped, a bit like Pho. It's quite a small location on Bold Street, but the food, no matter what one you go to, is immaculate. Especially the chat bombs. Oh, it's amazing. It really is. Like, we got the house chicken curry, and that was really aromatic, the right level of spice. It was lovely. Definitely recommend. Really nice Indian street food, and the vibes inside is lovely. Like, it's just a really nice, chill, classy atmosphere, and there's loads of monkeys everywhere. Not real ones, don't worry, but lots of like monkey decor. Stoke as well in the Radisson Red. Recently went there, worked with them, with the chef Christina. She's amazing. Her roast dinners Now, don't tell me Auntie Kathy this, but I think Christina's got her beat. I do love me Auntie Kathy's roast dinners, but I'm sorry, Christina just knows what she's doing. It's just out of this world. Like, I've never seen a Yorkshire pudding that big, and it didn't deflate when I cut into it. Like, it held its shape. We also had the beef and the chicken, and the beef was just cooked to perfection first of all. A little bit of pink to it. I like it that way. I don't want it overdone. I don't want it like where it's cremated. No, thank you. But it's roast beef and it was absolutely delicious. It was just so succulent and juicy. And then the chicken was also juicy, and you got like half a carcass of chicken, and the presentation was lovely. Like, it came on boards, and then you put it on what you want onto your plate. And yeah, that was just a great experience. It was really nice. Getting into some like tapas now. A little hidden gem that not a lot of people know about is Tapas Revolution. It's by Queen Square in Liverpool, and it's kind of hidden out of the way a little bit. But they do some really delicious food. I absolutely loved it, especially their chorizo. It's such a good little hidden gem. And so salsa as well. There's 2 locations that I know of. One, I think on Castle Street or Water Street, one of them. And then another one in Crosby. And I've been to both. And yeah, really nice, good, solid tapas. You can't really go wrong with anything on the menu. Really good. Another little hidden gem in Crosby, the Fat Italian. That's one of our go-to when we go out as a family. Like, usually it'll be, if we're sticking round by mine, just going into like Crosby area a bit, probably the Fat Italian. I've had most things off their menu, and I've liked every single thing, especially the Tuscan sausage pasta. Really delicious. And sometimes I like to add a little bit of chorizo to that if I'm feeling a bit like, oh, I want to spice things up a bit. And yeah, staff are really lovely and friendly in there as well. They've got a little decor sign up, and it says, "Never trust a skinny chef." And I was like, yeah, love that. And then lastly, the Baltic Market. I always really enjoy a little walk around the Baltic Market, little stroll, trying all different street foods. Bit expensive, but you know, that's how it is. But yeah, I do like that, and you get to try a few different cuisines, and I like that. The only thing I wish was better was the seating. Like, there's just usually not enough seating for everyone, but because it is popular. But yeah, that's my recommendations of all the different places that I like in Liverpool, and all my top tips for being a food blogger. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. I did. I feel like I can talk for England, really. But I enjoyed going through all that, talking about it. If anyone is interested in finding out more, or getting in touch and asking more questions, you can find me at Emilie Shoots on socials. Make sure to go follow the podcast, subscribe and rate us, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks so much for listening.